Welcome back to Campus Lore Live, where NBA players talk about college hoops. I'm George Niang, and this is Monte Morris. The NCAA is trending towards applying a one-time transfer rule in the 2020 and 2021 season. And I don't know what to think about this, man. It's almost like being in the NBA and having free agency. Monte, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. It's a great topic. I'm glad we're able to talk about it on this episode. I think it's good for some guys in college to start on a new page, see a new university, start fresh. Some coaches then recruited them and they get to leave. So I think it should be an opportunity for them to start somewhere fresh if it's not working out at least one time.
Yeah, being in the NBA, you really realize it's a players' league, and with some synergy with the owners and the NBA, the players kind of run the NBA and kind of have a good saying of what goes on and what is allowed. And you realize in college, you really had no say. I think it's extremely unfair that a coach can up and leave and go to a different university when they've recruited kids and told them how they're going to be their coach. But when a kid wants to leave and pursue something that's better for him, he's punished by sitting out a year. And I think if you're not going to punish coaches and not make them sit out a year or forfeit money or do anything like that, then you should be able to give the power, to the players. Like, look here, Monte, what is the product of college basketball? Yeah, there's some great coaches, there's some Hall of Famers, but the students, the players, are the ones that are getting the people in the stands. That's what they come to see. And I think if you're handicapping them by not letting them go to a university or a different situation that helps them progress in their career, you're honestly hurting the game, you're hurting the player, and you're hurting the sport.
Yeah, of course. It's like we got all these guys coming in on recruiting visits, student sections, the students at the school and things like that. They building the coach up, telling him how great he is, the university, and he can say, I love this university and all this, but, he can win, have a successful season, and just go to the NBA. He can leave everything behind, but, like you said, if a kid does it, he got to sit out a year, and that can hurt his stock, or anything like that. So it's a touchy subject. I know a lot of people probably won't like our answer to it, especially college people who big fans of college, but just being real, as far as me and you being players, I think it's a good trend for players that want to start over and go somewhere else.
But to the point of this, I mean, why wouldn't the NCAA do something like this? And you're the NCAA, you want to have the best product. You want to put out the best teams. You want everybody to be competitive night in and night out. This takes away talking about, this is a rebuilding year for us. We have to wait on guys to, who are sitting out to be eligible. No, if you can be a new coach, come in and get players out of a transfer portal that can play right away, you take a team that was at the bottom of a league and immediately make them competitive. You sit here and you look at guys that go to Kentucky that struggle and, maybe they're in over their head. If they can transfer to another school, play right away, sort of be the man and enhance that other program, you're looking at a competitive season of college basketball. Why would you want guys leaving your situation, leaving the NCAA to go to the pros when they're not ready, when they can not sit out and play for another team and develop? It's like a no-brainer for the NCAA. It makes no sense why they wouldn't want to do this. You're losing kids to the professional game that aren't ready to be professionals when you could have them staying in, and the only reason why they are leaving is because they have to sit out a year, and this is the penalty you're inflicting. You can take this away, and you can make the college game a lot better, and you can keep talent in college.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of coaches, push players sometimes to leave because they got another 5-star coming in, you should go, but then now you sending that kid off when he wasn't developed, and now he in the G League, and people always say, the league losing talent, because a lot of kids leaving that don't know how to play basketball.
And you're sitting there wasting talent, having it sit on the bench, because what's the first thing when you ask someone, hey, why haven't you transferred? I don't want to have to sit out a year and then have to, go to another school and have it not be the right situation. At least in this one, you can up and leave. You don't have to sit out. If it isn't your right situation, then you know what? That's your fault. You picked wrong twice, and now you have to graduate, and maybe you can grad transfer. You can still have that be a priority, because I understand the NCAA will say, well, then this doesn't put an emphasis on guys trying to graduate and then leave, and then they're just going to bounce around like AAU. But the fact of the matter is, when you go back and watch college basketball, is the talent not being depleted? Yes, because guys are being like, why am I going to go to college? I'm not going to get paid. I have to sit out a year if I'm going to transfer. And that just doesn't make any sense. If the NCAA really wants to continue to have a system that works, they need to improve themselves. They can't continue with the same rules for the last 30 years. It's not helping the game. And honestly, there's some changes that they need to make within the game, but this is one that they need to jump on right away and let happen, and they will see extreme improvements in the talent level in the college game and the competitiveness. You're going to have teams that were not making the tournament for 5 years or 20 years having a chance to make it every year. If you could go back to Iowa State and have anybody who's played college basketball, not in your time, just out there saying, the John Walls, the Bradley Beals, the Anthony Davises, who would you pick to play with in college?
You said his name. I would have to go with Anthony Davis. I think we never really had like a real long dominant big on our team who was just shot blocking, at 6'11". Jamil was 6'9", who was the closest thing to it. So I think Anthony Davis, with what he could have helped us with shot blocking at the rim, doing all that with the talent we had around us, I would love to have played with him because he impacted that Kentucky team so much and led them to be successful and win.
Probably one of the most versatile front court players to ever play in the college game. I mean, you think about Anthony Davis, He could dribble the ball, he could protect the rim, he was a lob threat. He played with a ton of talented guys, and they won a national championship. But you throw him on any team, and he's extremely impactful. Like I said, his ability, to play multiple positions and protect the rim, that kind of takes any team from average team to above average team. You're easily in the top 15 if he's on your team. And if I had to choose one player that I could play with in college, I would have to say Carmelo Anthony. I remember as a kid watching how much of a dynamic scorer he was. It was almost like how you want it and where you want it from. I could give it to you in the mid post. I could give it to you down low. I could offensive rebound. I could make threes. And you know me, Monte, I'm not really a defense guy, so I'm more of I'm going to outscore you. And to play alongside someone that could just go get a bucket, those are tough guys to find. And he just had that swagger, that confidence about him where you looked out on the court and you were like, man, this dude is not a freshman. He is just giving it to everybody. Baked, grilled, broiled, killing. And he won a national championship as a freshman. So obviously he's a winner. And I would have loved to have played alongside a guy like Carmelo Anthony. I just think his ability to score the ball is something that the NCAA game, I don't think, has seen in a long time, especially when it translates to winning.
We were actually watching Carmelo college highlights a few days ago. Things he was doing, you can tell he was advanced. He wasn't rushing. And I just seen how he was just getting to his spots. Some guys be in college who are really good, who are lottery picks, but they raw. They get in transition buckets. You see flashes here and there, but when I watch Melo since day one, his first game there on his highlights, he was just so smooth. He wasn't getting sped up, and when a guy has that type of patience and things like that, he's a no-brainer.
And then we go back to Anthony Davis, and I was just thinking about how we would run pick and roll in college, and I obviously wasn't gifted enough to give you a lob threat when it was in college. It was more me picking and popping, and the thing that gave us trouble was when teams would switch, and then I'd try to roll a guy down to the roll down to the post and have you force it in. Whereas if you have a guy with Anthony Davis, you're having easy reads, easy decisions to be made. He's getting out quick. You're having a lob threat. And that honestly makes the game easier for you. There's rumors of the NBA draft being delayed until August. What are your thoughts on this, man? I know this coronavirus has really really set a lot of things back, and it's really been tough to adjust or really predict what the future is going to be. And this kind of messes up everything. When you push the draft back, it pushes our season back, and how are guys going to get traded, or if it's going to be on draft night, and how much time are guys going to have to prepare before? Is there even going to be a summer league? And it just leaves so many questions. How do you think this benefits the NBA pushing it back, and how do you think it hurts the guys, going forward that are entering the draft?
I think it helps the NBA to a certain degree where they just taking the right precautions with all the coronavirus going around. And honestly, they can get a real glimpse of a kid that they really, really want to draft. If they was going to put the draft in June, it's already April. I feel like that's not a good enough time to put everything out there. Like, they want to do a virtual Skype session with guys. So I think August is a good time you can really go down the board and really get to know kids. Sometimes you go in for 2 workouts for one team. So sometimes they might want to talk to you again. On virtual reality, you're not going to be able to really fill a kid out. You really got to see a kid in person and see them really interact with, your front office and everybody. So I think it's safe for the NBA to do it that way. But I think it hurts some guys because if the draft's in August, when our season going to start up, I feel like they may be a step or two behind. But especially without summer league to test their talents up against a few guys that may be second, third year guys in the NBA who's still trying to make it.
This really hinders the development of those guys who are NBA players but coming from college. They don't have the summer league to learn how things go. They're not going to have as much time with the teams to really just get adjusted to how the NBA life works, how hard you have to work. But the people who I feel really bad for are the real go-getters, the real dudes that love basketball, the undrafted stories, the ones that, go into a workout and they leave a team with a great impression. And they're like, we're going to keep this kid on our radar. And they watch him in summer league. They're like, no, this kid keeps getting better. He's impressing us. He wasn't on our radar in college for whatever reasons, and he's continuing to impress us. Those are the guys that I feel bad for, because there are some guys that are on draft boards and they're going to get drafted, and that's going to be the highlight of their career. And who freaking cares, man? At the end of the day, the NBA doesn't hold up for anybody, and if you're going to get drafted and you're not going to be good enough, then you're going to get bounced. And I just feel bad for these kids that, who are real go-getters, who love the sport, who just want to continue to compete and develop, and they're ripped of that opportunity through the draft process, through summer league, and just through, preseason. Because who knows what the upcoming schedule is going to be like for next year. And I just want to see the best talent get rewarded. In my career, I was constantly told, you're not athletic enough. You can't do this. You can't do that. But my numbers said otherwise. You're telling me all these other things, but my production has never gone down. And that's something that I hold close to me, because I'm all about production over potential. Just because you've seen so many guys that are drafted off potential that take it for granted, and you have other guys that are all about production and are never going to stop working until they achieve their dreams.
It's kind of like Kendrick Nunn down in Miami, undrafted, didn't really have a spectacular career at Oakland. He got booted out of Illinois, And now he played with the chip on his shoulder. He arguably could be Rookie of the Year.
Miami seems to do a great job down there. You know, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, 2 starters on an East Coast playoff team. You know, it's kind of amazing to see what those guys can do, and it's unfortunate that the draft process may take away an opportunity from guys like those guys. Now you step over into the management's shoes. How do you figure out, you know, your roster makeup? Because say we do finish out the season, right? And you have needs. You have things that you need for your roster to make it better, whether that's young talent, whether that's talent that can come in and play right away. And the draft is a way to, you know, trade draft picks away to get a guy that can help your team right away. I'm not really experienced in the front office, but how do you go about this, having everything pushed back, and you don't know if the season's going to be over by the time the draft comes, if the draft is going to happen, then the season's going to end, and you just have no idea. So this kind of halts your plan going forward. And, you know, later down the line, you could say this kind of hurts teams that are on the verge of being championship teams because they didn't have the ability to trade draft picks to get the talent that they needed to win. And, I mean, I understand it's unfair for everybody, but it's going to be tough on those teams that are 1 or 2 pieces away that, you know, want to trade draft picks so that they can get the talent that they need.
All around guys, like, you know what I'm saying, we got guys who about to be free agents, you know, after this season. So it's like, are we re-signing those guys? Like, most guys make their money in the playoffs. So, you know, it's just going to be weird on how, you know, GMs and our management, all of our management, you know, handles it.
Clearly, this coronavirus, you know, is unfortunate, but I think it's something that's necessary that needs to happen. The draft needs to be pushed back because, Monte, you guys can't be playing in the playoffs and another team is trying to trade you picks or trade you a player that is currently playing in the playoffs. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And we're all kind of at a loss for everything, and whoever can figure out how to address this is a genius. Who are you liking, and who do you want to tell me about in this year's draft?
I like Payton Pritchard out of Oregon. He's had a tremendous 4 years there. You know, he averaged 13 points last year, upped his numbers, 20.5, shooting 41 from 3, 47 from the field. And he has his team winning, you know, over there in Oregon. He took it on the senior, you know, leadership. He made the tournament a lot while he was there. I think he's going to be a guy who you can really look at despite age, because, you know, age is a big thing now in the NBA as far as he's too old. We'll take a younger guy and try to develop him. But if you're looking for a guy that can come in right away with great experience, and for a guy to jump his numbers like that and continue to win with guys leaving, it just shows you, you know, how good he is and how hard he works.
You're talking about Payton Pritchard. You're talking about someone that in high school is the only player in his state to win 4 high school championships, goes to Oregon, goes to a Final Four early in his career, was playing like 28, 29 minutes as a freshman, and continued to play plus 30 minutes the rest of his college career, and is leading his team year in and year out to NCAA tournaments, and is just a proven winner. He's clearly a leader. He's clearly a winner. He clearly knows how to run the point guard spot. And as you know, Monte, you know, those guys that are overlooked, those winners, they tend to come out on top after the draft process. You know, that potential, that athleticism gets thrown out the window, and NBA coaches, like I'm sure like Mike Malone saw in you, all right, who can get the job done and who can come in and make things happen for my team? I'm sick of this guy's going to be this guy's going to be that. Just speak more towards your relationship with Mike Malone and what he saw in you, and how that could translate to Payton Pritchard, and how he shouldn't be discouraged if he gets drafted late, because there isn't going to be a college coach that sees his value and importance on an NBA roster.
He always knew, you know, I was a hard worker. He said one thing he respected about me, I never put my head down. I was the 4 point guard, you know, when I got drafted. on the depth chart, and I never pouted. You know, anything he asked me to do, I always did it. But I always was a low turnover guy, and that was kind of an issue, you know, with our point guards. You know, we would turn the ball over, and we wouldn't have a lot of possessions. And you know, I was just going to the G League, working hard, and then had my opportunity, and he realized, you know. Uh, Once Jamal went down, he brought me in his office and said, "Look, keep doing what you're doing, keep running the offense, and I believe in you, and I trust in you." And he even told me, he said, "I'm gonna be honest. When we first drafted you, I never thought you would play a game for me. Just being real." And I was able to turn the tables and knew how to win and just know how to play basketball.
You have no idea going forward. Payton Pritchard could come in and play on a team that he ends up starting for. But I think his potential to be something in this league is through the roof. He's a seasoned veteran guy like you were, 4 years, proven winner, and he's known to be a leader. And I think that's something that goes undervalued. And you touched on it with Coach Malone. Guys are going to doubt him. Your own coach doubted you, and now you're ultimately one of the most important guys on your team coming off the bench because you know how to play. And I think that is so undervalued. You know, I want to take a stop down at Auburn University and talk about Isaac Okoro. The kid is an athletic freak. 6'6", 225 pounds, built. Obviously, you know, he's extremely athletic. He is really dynamic in transition, fast, athletic, finishes above the rim. In the NBA, I see him translating towards a 3-and-D guy. For those of you non-basketball experts, that's someone that, you know, can space the floor and make threes, but can guard the other team's best player. Isaac Okoro is going to be great for a team that needs their star player to not, I don't want to say rest on offense or on defense, but, you know, not have to guard the other team's best player. So I think that's the role that Isaac Okoro is going to fit. And I think going forward, he's going to need to improve his three-point shooting. Obviously, you're athletic now in college, but you know what it is, Monte. I mean, you play with Mason Plumlee. I mean, there are 7-footers that are just as athletic as you. So you're going to have to find different ways to impact the game offensively because, you know, if you can't make threes and you're not, you know, viciously dunking over people, it's tough to just rely on defense.
And you pull up his clips. You know, his first 5 clips, and, you know, it got you jumping out your seat. I think he's a guy, you know, I like the comparison, you know, with Hunter down in Atlanta. I see him being a guy like Josh Okogie, too, from Minnesota. Real athletic, great defender, and he can make a shot. You just got to play real hard. He got to be one of those guys when he come in, around our test type mindset. You know, he got the build, and I see some dog in him when he plays.
Yeah, he can be like a Josh Okogie type. He can be like DeAndre Hunter. But if you really want to look at establishing yourself and being that, regardless of what pick you are, Trevor Ariza is someone to look at. Long, athletic, defends the best player night in and night out, has that nasty attitude, is athletic. And the thing that he does best is he makes shots. He lets his best player defend someone that isn't the best player on the other team, night in and night out, and he can be open to let his guy double team and make open threes. And I think going forward, that's what Isaac Okoro is going to need to hang his hat on, because a team is going to find value in that, because every team needs shooting and everybody needs a defender who can guard the other team's best player. And I'm excited to see what he can turn into, Monte. Make sure you take it easy on Payton Pritchard, because if he goes out there and gives you buckets, you're going to hear it from me, that's for sure.
I got you.
Alrighty, folks. Well, there you have it. Campus Lore Live, where NBA players talk about the college game. Thanks for joining us.